Hey everyone, Jerry here, and welcome to another movie review. Now, in today's review, we are going to talk all about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, before we dive into the review, I think it's best to do a little bit of a history on the Ghostbusters film franchise. And we're going to start with the first one, which debuted in theaters on June 8, 1984. And that first Ghostbuster film was amazing. Essentially lightning in a bottle. A perfect fusion of action, comedy, and horror. On the horror side, it was legitimately scary. These were not horrors played for laughs. Yes, it wasn't Halloween, but these were really scary scenes. If you were a kid walking in there, you'd have nightmares for weeks. And so that was one aspect. Then, if you're an adult, you realize, yeah, there's scary here, but it's offset by the comedic timing of Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson, some of the core cast of this film. And so this back and forth of all of that was just great. And at the center of it, there was a really interesting story. And at the time, the paranormal was something that was not as exploited as it is now. And so it was fertile ground to write this story. And it was just genius, pure genius. The second one was a little bit of a rehash, in as much as it's Dana Barrett, the love interest of Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman. She was again in trouble, this time with a kid from a marriage that didn't work. Again, they tried to change it a little bit, but it felt a little like, yeah, we've kind of seen this a little bit before, so wasn't as successful, but was still a good time. You fast forward to 2016, which is the all-female Ghostbusters reboot, and there was so much going against it. I mean, there was a toxic reaction, which is, oh my gosh, it's a bunch of women replacing men on screen, and there was a lot of that. But I would say that the problem with that film wasn't that, it was the writing. This felt more of a comedy than anything else. There was not a whole lot of action, not a whole lot of scares. It just felt like a very expensive SNL skit. And that was kind of the issue, I would say. But silver lining, in the midst of all that, it had one of the most amazing marketing campaign, and that came through the form of the posters of each individual characters. These things were stunning. I mean, we're talking the characters not in full frame, but just their equipment and parts of their clothing, and selective section illuminated and highlighted with these very powerful colors. That was, wow, it was something else, and that was just really amazing. And now, 2021, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife, which this one takes place 30 years after Ghostbusters 2. And the reason they do that, so it would mean that the 26 Ghostbusters probably exist in a different timeline, is what I've been able to make of it. If you know what the timeline is, please let me know down in the comments below. And so Ghostbusters Afterlife is this new attempt at rebooting this franchise. And for the most part, I think it does an admirable job. It does capture a little bit of that lightning that was in the first one. And it does it in the exploration of the characters' intelligence through their personalities, through what they're good at. In the first one, you had, Peter Venkman, played by Bill Murray, who's genuinely smart, but he's a womanizer. Like, you just look at him and go like, oh, this guy's just out to chase women. There's no depth to him. But there are moments where you see that come in and is going, I'm a little bit more than just that. And he's so charismatic, and he knows what he's doing to an extent, but he knows how to navigate this world. Another one is Ernie Hudson's Winston. Again, highly intelligent, and he's able to navigate this world even though he doesn't have all, maybe the multiple degrees that the other three have. But again, his understanding of machinery and just laissez-faire attitude, and it's like, well, this is what's happening, I got this. This second film also has that easiness of the characters owning up to how smart they are. There's never a questioning of how can you be this smart, or how did she get there. There's just little nuggets that just reveal this is how these kids are. And so you have the bulk of the film, well, the overarching arc of this film stands from after Ghostbusters 2, a little bit afterwards, Egon leaves and abandons the team. There's something he's got to deal with, but he doesn't let his other teammates in on it. So he goes out to the middle of nowhere, and that strains the relationship with the other Ghostbusters. And as the film starts, he dies. Spoilers. Egon dies. The momentum of the film is taken over by his two grandchildren, by McKenna Grace, who plays Phoebe, and by Finn Wolfhard, who plays Trevor. And these are what makes the movie go forward. They're evicted from where they live. Their mom takes them out to their grandfather's house to just pack up and get the rent check from it so they can move on, but it turns out they're stuck there, and they find themselves solving the mystery that took their grandfather. And along the way, they learn a few things. Annie Kuhn's character, the mom, realizes that her father did actually love her and was aware of everything that was happening. He kept this entire wall of all the stages of her life, so he loved her, even though she believed for a long time that she didn't. Phoebe finds the legacy of the Ghostbusters just fits right in. She just has this momentum towards, this is really cool, I want to do it. And she brings her brother along. He is a mechanic. One of the things that I loved is, you see how smart he is. Yeah, maybe not to the extent that his sister is, but he's spending time fixing Ecto-1. And it's like, wow, okay, this kid knows what he's doing on this side. And then you have Podcast, who is really good at making a podcast, documenting things, and also is knowledgeable about a lot of things that happen. All these little things that are playing, which are just great. And then you have Paul Rudd, which is sexiest man on earth. Paul Rudd is just, well, he's a lovable guy, and he just fires on all cylinders. And so yeah, that's just the bulk of the movie. And then we get to the third act, which is, if you are a diehard Ghostbusters fan, bring a tissue. This movie will just hit you in the feels, as it did with me. To see the original team, I just realized how much I missed them in that space, in that universe. And there's another magic moment where you have the ghost of Harold Ramis's Egon at a critical point in the third act. Yeah, Phoebe engaged in a beam battle with Gozer. Gozer, if you don't remember, who is the villain from the first film, and she has her proton pack and shooting, and she's struggling, and her mom says, "You can do this," and then Egon shows up and helps her study the beam flow, the recoil, I would say, study, and then the other Ghostbusters all attack, and then the mom clicks the button to trap. It's fantastic to just see it all come together. So, and of course Bill Murray, like the oh my gosh, the original team shows up, and Bill Murray, comedic timing as perfect as always. He goes to Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace, goes, "Hi, Peter Venkman, home office. Thanks for stepping in on this one. You did good." And some of us are gonna go in and have some cocoa now with maybe a little bit of rum. And oh my gosh, after seeing that movie, I went back and watched Ghostbusters 1, 2. Yeah, it's no film is ever perfect, and this movie has a couple of things that are going against it. One is the length. It's a little too long, to be honest, and I would say maybe cut 20 minutes out of it, because there's some moments that could have been shorter, that were maybe not explained enough. So I feel as though the movie could have been a little bit tighter. And the other part, and the last thing on this one, is it's a little bit of a rehash of the first one, in as much as the plot from the first one, which is Zool and Gozer, those characters come in and are trying to succeed in what they failed to do in the first one. It's kind of an example would be, it's how The Force Awakens is a reimagining of Star Wars A New Hope. It's cool, there's a lot of great things in there, and there's obviously new direction for this franchise, but honestly I wish it was a little bit different. And yeah, and oh right, and as the movie ends, which is one of the things I almost forgot, it showcases the fifth character of the Ghostbusters team, which is the city of New York. There is so much love for that city in the first two films, and seeing the Ecto-1 on the bridge going back into Manhattan, into New York, I can't wait to see where this franchise goes from here. But yeah. With that said, that is my Ghostbusters Afterlife review. Let me know what you guys thought of it down in the comments below. and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.